By that back part, what's live by the development, so it's constantly, there's always something. And people are like, was that an explosion? Yes.
Like you're gonna go
There's some
there.
order field on the belt.
That's the worst place I know.
On the flip side of that, up by I think it's either the Oswego or the Pure Marquette River. There's
Right.
clearly some sort of like I was hearing like I'm hearing explosions constantly on the river, and Judah was like, "No, you're not." Like you're absolutely not. And then I looked it up, and there's some like a mortar practice field,
Yeah.
like 5 miles away. I was like,
Yeah.
"Ah, I win." I'm not crazy. There is lots of explosions going on.
It is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But it's like we drove by a sign later on too. It's like active mortar field, like
Yeah,
stay out.
yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, fair enough. Are Ethan and Stacy not staying at night? If anybody see them after church,
They were still in the narthex.
chatting it up. Okay. Well, we don't have coffee and snacks yet, so they're safe. What?
That's why I figured.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Well, now they're not safe. Now they're in trouble. Thanks, ladies.
You didn't write it. We just.
I'll be right back.
Anybody wanna talk?
Yeah, I'll take one to make a.
Maybe. Stones are calling the name.
Yeah, I had barn.
Oh, forgot.
You know what, I just do myself.
I feel bad though.
Here it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's not.
Yeah,
What
do you make? What do you make?
How do you bring it, honey?
Like pizza.
Bring a skillet.
Oh my God, it was like, I'm gonna bring egg sandwich.
Make a bunch of breakfast sandwiches. There you go.
Oh, there's the old. There's.
That's what I was wishing Lois was doing today,
But we do that.
but I don't think it did. Todd
It's
wants
a little bunch.
a treat.
Too. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that I could eat.
You care?
But this like, yeah, like, I don't know, what has this been, 10 years or? I don't even know. I'm curious.
Hard, tucked back there, so all I hear is me.
Oh, it's
Sort of playing the boss.
like fun too, huh?
All I hear is me. And I'm not even doing it. Yeah,
Would've known that.
but that's the monitor and then where that bass amp is, like all I can hear.
Oh, but this.
That's all.
So,
Well.
I'm loud.
yeah,
Like, let me know.
you don't have it, the
I
headphone.
don't have any right now, yeah. Yeah, no. Thank you though.
Very cool.
I,
She doesn't really send my.
Comment early. Yeah, Steve was like, they said they can't. Okay.
I folks need to turn it off.
He said he turned me up some, but then he was also like, hey, don't sit back. Like, let out. I'm like, okay, well,
It's me.
Sent to me, didn't they?
Thank you.
I don't think it was critical.
All right. Well, that's hot. They got me. So who got a chance to read some this week? Okay. Anybody else?
I read a little.
Okay. Yeah.
Read the last.
Ah,
Read it.
Oh. Did you guys experience it as any different than the rest of what we've read? Was there, yeah?
You know what, I also just was curious, but I'm the only one I think probably is alone. So I have quiet time at night to read, because I could not do it if I had children around or if I.
Yeah.
Jim around, I would be able to.
Yeah.
Read it, but I just reading the last pages those others helped me. I don't know that, I know you were building up to it,
Mhm.
because at the end, that's where you're gonna get the meat, I think.
Yeah. And you said you noticed a difference as well?
Yeah, on the front, I mean, it just, I don't know, made more sense reading it now, I think repetition,
Mhm.
right? of
Yeah.
Seeing it so many times, like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, it's what makes reading Kierkegaard frustrating, but also rewarding too. Is you start getting, okay, he said this a few times. I'm starting to get it. Like that does really help. Did you sense any like difference in what he's talking about? Any sort of major shifts? It's all right. We're gonna get there, but it's all right. So I was just curious to see. I'm getting first impressions. I'm not like testing.
I was hoping you would tell.
Yeah, I was on it too.
I'm going to. Yeah. So this is still in the first, because he does separate the book into two parts, into like sets of deliberations, and this is still in the first part. So it's not quite as much of a big change as you're going to see in, because this is the last one we're going to do in the first part, and the rest of the week. So I think we have like three or four weeks left, but we'll do all in the second part. So he hasn't made the major shift um, to more directly edifying, more like it hasn't really shifted as much away from conceptualizing what love is yet. He's still doing that, which is what makes this part a little bit difficult. But he has shifted from talking about the neighbor as this universal characterization, this universal, the neighbor is everyone, it can be all things and all people, and making sure that there's no exclusion at all. And now he shifted to the concrete in this one. And when you read the title, our duty is to love the people we see, you would know, your first reaction is, or at least my first reaction is say, oh, I gotta love, the people in front of me. I gotta make sure, that's his application of the concrete. I need to love the people that I see. And that's actually not what he says in it at all. I mean, it's not that that's not true, that we do need to love the people in front of us, but what he's really talking about is how is that love is a way of seeing the people that are in front of us, and that it is much more about our inward disposition towards these people. He's still focused on the inward in one major way, but it's much more about that inward disposition and how we orient our own relationality to them than it is just, is there someone in front of you, love them. It is that simple, but it's not that simple. Um, so
What is the hate?
Hmm?
What is the word hates? Because hates is a very strong word, and like, I don't, like, my brother-in-law, I don't hate him, but I disagree with him. Like, what is hate here?
I kind of hate.
Yeah.
um
How strong is this word hate to me? Because to me, hate is very strong.
well, if it's the Greek word, I think it is. It's like disdains. Let me check and make sure real quick.
Which one?
I'm reading.
Oh. But you're right, it's very visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That's my brother-in-law. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so, let me get a good. Oh, apparently you can't search Google in actual Greek letters.
Maybe. Maybe tragedy.
One of the things that.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead and ask while I think through how to say this.
I was just gonna say, often wonder in heaven, those people that we feel very strongly with about, and yet they more than likely are Christians. I mean, I believe they are. The
Yeah.
person being definitely is. But I'm going to have to reframe my thinking
Mhm.
when I'm there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's probably gonna be the miracle.
Yeah. I'll get back to that. I'll have to figure out what Greek root that is. So yeah. Kierkegaard starts out, and I will try, actually, I should open up the other one instead of that one. Oh boy, that's a really crappy copy.
Maybe we don't need a definition of hate. Maybe it's more squishy or more subjective and more. We'll know it when we see it based on how we treat.
That is definitely what he's going to say. That's for sure. Okay. So this will be the pages in your book. So he starts off with we're talking about companionship and then and the fact that I think he's anticipating some of the critiques that he got by people who really didn't understand, which is, where's the place for actual human relationship in all this? Because he's done all this, really kind of not pie in the sky, but much more abstract stuff before, and people are saying, yeah, but I need friends, I need lovers, I need these actual relationships that we all as humans need, and he's saying that yes, this is important, but he is going to try and bring the concrete back in a way that is going to still fit into what he said so far. So one of the ways that he does this, so this would be after the italics. I really should. My problem with this is that I have I have a copy of the one that you have, but all of my notes from all my multiple reads are in my old one, so it's hard for me to like read from one to the other. But I know it's difficult for you guys to find. Who all has a book? You guys, this will be a lot easier, I think, because I didn't copy out a bunch of stuff, which I should have done. I'm now realizing. But is it okay if I don't have it on the screen and I just read it and talk? If you don't have a book in front of you? Okay.
Yeah.
So, so what he's going to bring up as a question, I guess. Not saying. I would have hated that when I was their age.
Oh, trust me, he did.
Oh, that's funny. So he's talking about the object of love. And so he says, we the point is not to go out and find who you will love. The point is to go out and to love the ones you find. And he's going to talk about what that actually means specifically. And you're going to get a little bit of, we're not going to get to like the concrete applications of love, like what do the actual acts look like yet in terms of loving the one that I see, but we are going to figure out what that means internally. So he's going to start off. It says, if this is indeed love, to want to find it outside oneself, I thought that this is love to bring love with oneself. But the one who brings love along with himself as he searches for an object for his love, I'm going to start a little later. To be able to love a person despite his weakness and defects and imperfections is still not perfect love, but rather this, to be able to find him lovable despite and with his weaknesses and defects and imperfections. And then he goes on to explain this with what I think is a really good kind of little parable. So suppose there's two artists, and one of them says, I've traveled much and seen much in the world, and I've sought in vain to find a person worth painting. I've found no face that was the perfect image of beauty to such a degree that I decided to sketch it. In every face I have seen one or another little defect, and therefore I seek in vain. Would this be a sign that the artist is a great artist? Another artist, however, says, well, I do not actually profess to be an artist. I have not traveled abroad either, but stay at home with the little circle of people who are closest to me. And since I have not found one single face to be so insignificant or so faulted that I still could not discern a more beautiful side and discover something transfigured in it. That is why, without claiming to be an artist, I am happy in the art I practice and find it satisfying. Will this not be a sign that he indeed is the artist, he who by bringing a certain something with him found right on the spot what the well-traveled artist did not find anywhere in the world, perhaps because he did not bring a certain something with him? Therefore, the second of the two would actually be the artist. Would it not really be sad if what is intended to beautify life could only be like a curse upon it, so that, instead of making life beautiful for us, art only fastidiously discovered that none of us is beautiful? Would it not even be sadder, as well as even more confused, if love, too, would only be a curse because its requirement could only make it obvious that none of us is worth loving, rather than that love would be known by the very fact that it is loving enough to be able to find something lovable in all of us, that is, loving enough to be able to love all of us. And this is where he's going to insert his idea that, and he says it pretty clearly, especially for Kierkegaard up here, that loving someone despite their defects is not actually the perfection of love. Finding them lovable despite their defects, which I think is something. It is a large, it's seemingly tiny shift that is actually really large, because what Kierkegaard is going to go on to do, and we'll get to that, he's going to try and get rid of any possibility that you love someone other than the person they are in this moment. That you have, they get rid of any delusions that you can love someone, love a version of someone that doesn't exist yet. Is really going to be and I think for good reason, going to take care to make sure that we can't do that. But if I love someone despite their weaknesses, despite their errors, what I'm saying is I love you, but not this part. Like there's enough good in you that I'll love you, and I'll take that other stuff. I don't love you. I don't love that part of you, but I love enough of you that I can say I love you. But finding them loving, that's a work. There is work to allow our partners or our friends or our family to have flaws. There's some work to deal with that graciously, obviously, but it's a much harder work to say to work. I'm going to love who you are right now. And Kierkegaard is not saying that we don't challenge any of these things, like any of these flaws. And this is not to remove any of for example, the purpose of the church, the church body, building each other up, iron sharpening iron. And he's going to say that explicitly later too. But the point is that I am going to do the internal work to love you as you are right now, the person that you are, and to see that as lovable. And I think it does go back to some of what he said earlier, because if I can't remember which you shall it is, but in one of those parts, he's talking about the fact that we see all these differences in the world, but all of us are really the same at heart. That we're all broken people trying to become the selves that God has for us to be. And this is another version of that, but he's given us like some concrete ways to change the way we think. So I think Well, we'll move on to another passage before I do that. So when he gets to his main point and starts it off, he says, the duty, we shall make these words the subject of our consideration as we, joyful in the task, choose to speak about the duty to love the people we see. But not in the sense as if the discourse were about loving all the people we see, since that is love for the neighbor, which was discussed earlier. It means rather that the discourse is about the duty to find in the world of actuality the people we can love in particular, and in loving them, to love the people we see. When this is the duty, the task is not to find the lovable object, but the task is to find the once given or chosen object lovable, and to be able to continue to find him lovable, no matter how he has changed. What do we think about that? What is that like initially?
I feel like right now, for me personally, this is the addict in your life, not him. The addict sister, that you're trying to love and support. I don't know if I'm misreading, but
I don't think it's a bad application.
like they're gonna, I don't know, like I find this person lovable because they're my sibling and I know they can do this. But it's, I don't know. They may never change, they may
Yeah.
never do that, so then I have to continually reframe in my mind, like, why I'm choosing to love this person just along with their illness.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good example of what Kierkegaard's talking about. That and it's I mean, as usual with Kierkegaard, it is really hard. Like really hard. But there's a good test case for that, because what he's saying is love you don't love the addict despite the fact that they're an addict. You don't love the addict hope in that love only hoping that they'll get clean. You just love them because they are a child of God who has the same value you do. And that is, as someone who's had friends with addiction that did not get out of it, that's very difficult. But it is what we're called to. And I think that he's setting that up right up front. I mean, he even says, like, to continue to find him lovable no matter how he has changed.
Correct.
And that goes both ways. That goes to, if find him lovable if they, become someone who's a great friend or a great partner, or or the opposite, or things fall out, or they just change. Like I have friends that I was very close with, and a couple friends that were very close with in college ministry that are now atheists, and it changes things. It's very difficult for us to be we're not the same type of friends. You can't be, but I can still love them, and I can still do the work in my head of not valuing them any less because they look less like me now, or they don't share the same values I have. Especially, I mean, it's a little easier for me having been an atheist, but still, like those I had to do work to not to value them in my mind, to not, oh well, we can't have the same relationship, therefore I don't love you as much. To take any vestige of utilitarianism out of my love for them. Like, oh well, they're not as useful to me, they don't make me feel as good, they don't lift me up as much anymore. And obviously Kierkegaard is not saying that that like once you become a friend to someone, you have to be the same friend to them forever. Like I'm obviously not as close to the people back home as I had been for the first 30 years of my life, with high school friends, because we're not in daily contact anymore. But I think what he's saying is when you have people in your daily life and you have made the decision that these are the people that I'm going to love, then that's a thing you do until that context is gone. That if they remove themselves from your life, well, yeah, we're not supposed to just, like, oh, I'm supposed to love this person, he moved to Philadelphia, now I have to move to Philadelphia. Like there's absurd, like obviously there's, ad absurdum examples there, but we are called, though, that our love is not based on how we feel, and our love is not based on what we wish they were. And I'll say that more explicitly.
Can I ask a question, like? Is he, well, I don't know, like, loving someone from a distance and not being like directly involved in their lives? For instance, you brought up like the addict, or like we had years ago, we had tried to, we oddly met a homeless man and I tried to help him out, but like, you know, he just, his mental illness was the issue. And so, you know, like, yes, we distanced ourselves from him because we had to, but I still think of him every once in a while and pray for him and hope that, you know, he's doing well. Is that still the, like, is that in the realm of this? Like, loving but from a distance, because almost for your own sanity too, you know?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that Kierkegaard would make many distinctions of self-protection love. I think that Kierkegaard would say, and I'm not saying that you guys did anything wrong. I have no idea the context of that at all. I just think that anytime that you're going to read Kierkegaard and think like, oh, it's okay for me to like protect myself from some of the consequences of love this way, the answer is usually no. He's pretty rigorous, like, and it's not that. And the good thing about Kierkegaard is when you hear that, you don't have to hear judgment though. Oh, I didn't do that. He's not judge. But he is clear. The one thing that is constant through Kierkegaard, all of his works, you gotta see the bar as high as it is first. You know, we have to. So yeah, I don't think Kierkegaard would give a lot of ground on on self protections. Now, at the same time, he is allowing for like the common sense of like, okay, if I've chosen to love this person, but they don't want to be loved, I don't have to go chase them down and force my love on them. You know, or if there's situations where I love this person, but I'm not the best person to love them. Like, like say, I don't have a ton of experience with, you know, this addiction issue, but this other friend does. Well, yeah, it's okay for them to take the mantle and for you to do more of the work because you can love him better. Like, there's you can make those decisions there. But in terms of the way that, like, like loving from afar, I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying more of, um, the people that are not afar, the people that are in your life closely right now, we need to be loving them in a way that we are seeing them as they actually are. So what, the next chunk, uh, or this next italicized section, it says, when it is a duty to love the people we see, one must first and foremost give up all imaginary and exaggerated ideas about a dream world where the object of love should be sought and found. That is, one must become sober, gain actuality and truth by finding and remaining in the world of actuality assigned to one. With regard to loving, the most dangerous of all escapes is wanting to love only the unseen or that which one has not seen. This escape is so high flying that it flies over actuality completely. It's so intoxicating that it easily tempts and easily imagines itself to be the highest and most perfect kind of love. No doubt, it rarely occurs to a person brazenly to speak ill of loving. Far more common, however, is the deception by which people defraud themselves out of actually starting to love because they speak too fantastically about loving and about love. And earlier, this is also helpful. It says, when the apostle says, how can he who does not love his brother whom he has seen love God whom he has not seen? A sagacious response could raise the objection that this is a deceptive turn of thought. He's been convinced that the brother whom he has seen is not worthy of love, but how can it be concluded from this that he did not love someone whom he saw was not worthy of love? That there was any hindrance in him in loving God whom he has not seen? The matter is quite simple. A person should begin with loving the unseen, God, because then he himself will learn what it is to love. But that he actually loves the unseen will be known by his loving the brother he sees. The more he loves the unseen, the more he will love the people he sees. So, again, he's just trying to get, I think actually I'm going to add one more thing before we
But before you go
Yep.
on, at sort of like the middle or beginning, it said that person made the choice not to love this other person. So maybe that's a key right there.
Say it again.
That choice, there, you read something in there, like sort of towards the beginning, that the person made the choice not to, there was the word choice in there, not to love someone. So then how can you love God? But they made that choice not to, that's what it said. So, and that I think that word is an important piece here, because that's either you're turning off or you're turning on.
Trying to find.
What that was.
Yeah, I don't see any use of the word choice, but yeah,
Isn't that weird?
yeah.
How did I hear the word?
Especially a wanted.
Nobody else would know.
I don't see the word choice, I see like fortune.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
What was it? What was that? What were you thinking about it though?
that would be great if it was choice.
I swear I heard that like, it was like talking about how can you love God and not the person, and you made the choice not to love the person. That's what I heard.
Mm.
Isn't that weird?
Well, I'll do one more little section to add to this. This is the meat. This is the main idea of the deliberation. When it is a duty and loving to the people, when it is a duty and loving to, good gracious. Let me pull the juice and start over. When it is a duty and loving to love the people we see, then in loving the actual individual person, it is important that one does not substitute an imaginary idea of how we think or could wish that this person would be. The one who does this does not love the person he sees, but again, something unseen, his own idea or something similar. And I think that he's connecting that. I mean, I know he's connecting that back to when he says, a person should begin with loving the unseen God. So he's this whole deliberation is, if you'll notice, all about vision. It's a vision metaphor throughout all the deliberation. And one of the points he's making is, look, there's one thing that we are to love that is unseen, and it's God. But everything else is every other form of love is concrete. But because God is the middle term, he said God is the middle term in all of our loves between person and person, we have this unseenness. And because these loves are connected, because he said earlier explicitly, like, to love the neighbor is to love God is to love the neighbor, and to love the self is to love God, and to love the neighbor is to love as loving oneself. There are all these interconnections. There's no separating them. They aren't three different types of love that are distinct. It's all one interrelated, just sack of love. But because of that, though, we do have to love, we do love God the unseen, and then in doing that we love the neighbor. But because of that, it means that this inwardness, this like this hiddenness of what we're doing inside our hearts and in our minds to love the neighbor, why that's so important, is because there's a factor of this relationship that I have with the unseen that permeates through to all my relationships. But then also, when you flip that on and start with the last term, well, loving this unseen thing is really hard because I'm concrete, I'm physical, I'm finite. It's really hard for me to know how to love something that I can't even see. Well, Kierkegaard says the answer is easy. You just start loving your neighbor, and you're loving the unseen. And so you get, it's something that you get in Kierkegaard a lot, which is this part hard? Well, view it from the other side. Are you having trouble with that side? View it from the other side. And this is one of the things that I find actually pragmatically helpful in my life that Kierkegaard has done for me, is when I am struggling with, and I should say I tried to do this. I'm not saying that I do this all the time, but one useful thing for me is when I'm struggling, like, I don't feel God, I don't feel like he's real. When I get too intellectual and I'm just thinking of God as a set of theological concepts and having trouble making him real, I just go find someone with a need and fill it. I go find a friend, that makes it sound selfish and self-serving, which of course it always partially is. But that is a help for me. Oh yeah, no, this is, yes, this is my relationship to God is tied to you. Like the reason that I'm struggling to find you real is because I'm not loving you. Like I'm not doing the things that are going to make you real. That I'm, going out and trying to love and finding out that trying to love is really hard and creating a need in myself for, for the Son, for the Holy Spirit to come and take this brokenness and help me love out beyond what I am capable of in my own body. And then the inverse is true. When I'm, like if I am, struggling to love someone in my life, then yeah, I need to go and do some of this inward work. I need to do some of this, I need to go pray to the unseen and ask for help and ask the Holy Spirit to specifically help me in these specific relationships and to, heal my broken heart more so that I can be a better vessel for, better conduit for God's love. So that actually I think is something that he does really well, which is, that the way that you look at things and the perspective that you come at it can definitely impact your day to day, your moment to moment, relationship with both God and with people. But I do really, really like this, not substituting an imaginary idea and loving that, because I think that is something that is totally universal. I don't think there's any one of us that does not, like, at least partially love our spouse, love our family, love some friends in ways that are like, yeah, I love you, but like I'd love you a lot more if you were that person that I wished you were. It's so hard not to do. Like, and I think I like that he says, like, this is first and foremost. This is the first thing you have to do if you're going to love the person you see, is to get rid of all your ideas that that this person is lovable only if they are like this idea that I have, this imaginary idea that I want them to be. And and that imaginary idea is always, a person who would love me better. It's really what all of our imaginary ideas tend to be. It's like, oh, I'd love you if you were a person who loved me better. Well, Kierkegaard is saying, like, how about you become that person? How about you become the person that loves them the way they need to be loved, and focus on that. And I think that, again, that's also, in my life anyway, has been incredibly pragmatically helpful. Like all the times where I am, I guess the way I should frame it, the times that I have been struggling to love someone and have hammered this in my prayer, in my thoughts, in my moment to moment, that it enacts wholesale changes in the way you think about them. Like, okay, I've got to stop like wanting them to be someone they're not so that I can love them better. I need to just love them better so that they can become who they are, who got the self that God has for them in his hand. And when you are focused on what you wish they were, you're focused on yourself. And when you're focused on that person and doing your very best to love them, then you're focused on your own, you're focused on your, trying to find a way to make it a better way to say it. It projects your intentions and your motivations and your work outward from yourself. You're forced to think about them and not about how you feel. And I think that is a good and difficult inward work.
Okay, so I have,
Yep.
okay, so if I can see the addict, that's a disease, and that a lot of things are kind of out of their control, or they're trying, or whatever, so I can kind of see that, but like Hitler, if I was Hitler's sister, am I supposed to love Hitler and not try to change him to be what I think he should be?
So that's a great question. And I will let Kierkegaard answer that. Maybe not specifically about Hitler, but that is where we're going next.
Very big question.
Yes, it is.
That's where a lot of us are thinking it.
Yep. Where is the challenge part? Hmm. Hmm. Well, no. There we go.
Daylight savings next week, are you?
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so
Okay.
awesome.
So he says, the relationship itself will, with integrated power, fight against the imperfection, become the defect. The two are to hold together all the more firmly and inwardly in order to remove the weakness. As soon as the relationship is made equivocal, you do not love the person you see. Then it is indeed as if you demanded something else in order to be able to love. On the other hand, when the defect or the weakness makes the relationship more inward, not as if the defect should now become entrenched, but in order to conquer it, then you love the person you see. It says we are to fight, to help the other, like to challenge and to help the other person to overcome their defects, but also this is where I was gonna go. He talks about Peter and Christ a lot at the end. And that is yes. Yeah.
Can you
Person.
just retell that? That was one of the things when I was reading, I was really interested. We all know the story
The Peter part?
about, yeah, when Jesus kept asking.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that real quick and then we'll
That was wonderful.
Yep, I agree. So yeah. Christ's love for Peter was boundless in this way. In loving Peter, he accomplished loving the person one sees. He did not say, Peter must first change and become another person before I can love him again. No, he said exactly the opposite. Peter is Peter, and I love him. My love, if anything, will help him to become another person. Therefore, he did not break off the friendship in order to perhaps renew it if Peter would have become another person. No, he preserved the friendship unchanged, and in that way, helped Peter to become another person. Do you think that Peter would have been one again without Christ's faithful friendship? But it is so easy to be a friend when this means nothing else than to request something in particular from the friend, and if the friend does not respond to the request, then to let the friendship cease, until it perhaps begins again if he responds to the request. Is this a relationship of friendship? Who is closer to helping an erring one than the person who calls himself his friend, even if the offense is committed against the friend? But if the friend withdraws and says, indeed, it is as if a third person were speaking, when he's become another person, then perhaps he can be my friend again. We are not far from regarding such behavior as magnanimous, but truly we are far from being able to say of such a friend that in loving, he loves the person he sees. Christ's love was boundless, as it must be if this is to be fulfilled in loving to love the person one sees. That is very easy to perceive. However much and in whatever way a person is changed, he still is not changed in such a way that he becomes invisible. If this, the impossible, is not the case, then of course we do see him, and the duty is to love the person one sees. Ordinarily, we think that if a person has essentially changed for the worse, he is then so changed that we are exempt from loving him. What a confusion of language, to be exempt from loving, as if it were a compulsory matter, a burden on which to cast off. But Christianity asks, can you, because of this change, no longer see him? The answer to that must be, certainly I can see him. I see that he is no longer worth loving. But if you see this, then you do not really see him, which you certainly cannot deny you are doing in another sense, aka you do see him, you're looking at him. You see only the unworthiness and the imperfection, and thereby admit that when you loved him, you did not see him in another sense, but merely saw his excellence and perfections which you loved. The Christian point of view, however, is that to love is to love precisely the person one sees. The emphasis is not on loving the perfections one sees in a person, but the emphasis is on loving the person one sees, whether one sees perfections or imperfections in this person. Yes, however distressingly this person has changed, inasmuch as he has not ceased to be the same person. He who loves the perfections he sees in a person does not love the person, and therefore ceases to love if the perfections cease. When the change begins, although this change, even the most distressing, still does not mean that the person ceases to exist. Like, it's tough. It's certainly bound up in all of that is a recipe for a lot of pain in your life and a lot of suffering. But I think that anyone who reads Christ's words he makes it pretty clear that, hey, this love's going to cost. It cost me a lot. It's going to cost you a lot. And I think it's a pretty consistent message of the gospel to the church that is the specific level to which we are called. That's the highest love is the love that makes, it is this is simultaneous, joy and suffering, like that sacrificial love is joyful, but at the same time is deeply painful oftentimes. But to answer that, the original question, like, I love that line. Peter must, he did not say Peter must first change and become another person before I can love him again. No, he said exactly the opposite. Peter's Peter and I love him. My love, if anything, will help him to become another person. And this is, I think, one of the things I've enjoyed about this specific discussion and doing some work is I'm realizing that sickness unto death is even more connected to this work than I thought it was. But the stuff that we talked about earlier that we to help another person out of their sin is to love God. That's completely in what he's talking about right here. Like Peter, I like that the way that he divides that line. Like Peter's Peter, like Peter's Peter. He's still going to be Peter, but I can't help him to become another person, Peter. But he's Kierkegaard's playing with that doubleness that we had in sickness of like, yeah, you're a self, but you're not a self. You're not yourself. Like you're not, it's not your best self. It's that you're not fully yourself. He's helping him to become another person, which is it's something that goes on to call your deepest self, your truest self, your self received from the hand of God, the self that rests transparently in the hand of God. He's helping me to become me. My friends that were loving me are helping me to become me, more me, because I'm not who I should be. And I think that that's the same for the body of the church together. Like, we have hands and eyes and feet, but yet they all, help each other to become one body. And the difference here is that, there are differences. Like, it's not to say that all of our loves look the same, or that all of our loves have the same concrete instantiations. Like, I'm going to respond and love and work to do different things in the life of a member of my family group that I'm doing the deepest, most intimate form of Christian co-working together. I'm going to love that person who's sinning differently than I'm going to love my friend Jacob, who's a pot smoking just heathen back home. Like there would be different he's not trying to flatten all these differences. But he is saying that, the one thing that you can do the one universal in all of these is you need to focus on loving the person that they are. Yeah.
Part of that, in the political environment we're in, no matter what side you're on, this is really, really hard.
Yeah, you're telling
right
me.
now, at all levels.
Yeah.
I want to be that person who can love, respect. I don't guess we don't have to respect, it doesn't say you have to respect her,
But when they open their mouth.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what, yeah, when they open their mouth.
and it's going on in our families, it's going on, you feel safe with groups of people who agree with you, well, that's not necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
But, and then just watch the news, the sheer terror,
Yeah. No, I'm
How are we loving? I don't know.
I'm deeply struggling with that right now. This was a very convicting, reading this was very convicting. Like I have, I very much want my father to be somebody he's not. And it is very difficult for me. Very difficult. To love the person that he is right now. And to not, and it's very difficult for me to figure out concretely, what does it mean for me to love him? What does that look like, knowing that I don't respect what he is thinking and doing? And it's very difficult. So, but the thing that was convicting for me in reading this week was, it doesn't mean I'm not allowed to. Doesn't mean I'm allowed to just not do it. It was a good reminder that work is work to be done. That, and there's grace for the fact that I'm not there fully, but there's no grace for not trying. In one sense, of course, there's grace for all sin, but but I am called to try. I am called to work at it, to do this work, and to spend some time dealing with that and trying to love the father I have and not the father I wish I had. So
The part about Peter though, and Jesus loving Peter, even though Peter made mistakes. How I view that though is that Peter chose to follow already Jesus. And so he already wants to be this person, but he makes mistakes, and Satan gets in his way and he makes mistakes. And, so yeah, I guess I see it as totally different. Like, if I can love my brother-in-law, again, I'll go back to him, but he starts opening his mouth and now he's drawing me into it. And like, that's why I choose not to talk to him. Like, as much as I possibly can at holidays and stuff, because I'm gonna get drawn into this. And there's no end to it. It's not gonna end. I'm not changing anybody's mind. He's not changing mine. So, that's where I have the hard. I can see Jesus saying, yes, Peter, I love Peter no matter what, he's making mistakes. That to me, I totally get. It's these other people who open their mouths. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. You go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, in that situation, could you apply this to be like, I love my brother-in-law because he's my brother-in-law, and then come to like a loving agreement about what you can and can't talk about?
Oh my gosh, I have tried.
I know, I know. Preaching to the choir, right? Like, but I'm just saying, to apply it this way, like, you loved him, you're trying to meet him where he is. When that person doesn't do that, that you're still loving that person. That person, in my point of view, is incapable or unwilling to look at themselves and do the same thing. Like, they don't want to do that because it's really hard. They don't wanna love the other self, the self, like the self and the itself,
Mhm.
itself,
Yep,
myself.
wrong. Yeah, the other thing too with that is this is a little thing first. I would want to caution that like yes, Peter has said that he wants to love the Lord, but also this is in the context of him totally just betraying him. like this is in the context of like the deepest betrayal that we've never even experienced. Like he is dying a bloody death, and Peter's like, I don't know. Like I mean, I've never been betrayed like that. I've been betrayed, but I mean, I've never. So yeah, but you know, this is that's some hard stuff to say. Peter's Peter, guy that just threw me under the bus three straight times, and then I looked at him and I said, "I love you," which I think is, I mean, it's the source of what I think is one of the most fascinating passages in all Scripture. Which Peter goes out, denies Christ three times, goes out and the cock crows and he weeps. And one of my favorite theologians makes the point that nowhere in the entirety of antiquity, literature of antiquity, do we have anything like this at all, because no one would look at the prayers or at the tears of a common poor person as anything other than laughable. When you see poor people crying, even in 1,000 years later, in a lot of works, it's in comedies, not tragedies. This is an incredibly morally poignant moment that is utterly a first, and it is a groundbreakingly ethical claim within this text that hey, when the author of the gospel has Peter's tears as a moral moment, he is saying that all human beings are equal, which is just the theological or the philosophical equivalent of opening a door and just throwing a hand grenade in the room. Like it just blows everything up. But the reason I say that is because there is this sense though in which Peter's Peter, he's just like anybody else. We're all the same. That we are, because there is not, this Aristotelian, like we've got noble born and low born, and only noble born people can really be ethical, and all that. Well, that's eradicated with Christ. That is just everything. The playing field is totally leveled, and you've brought the high down to like this universal humanity, and you've brought the low up. But at the same time, what it means that we all have the same work to do. And so when because I say this to caution, like sometimes we look at this and we hear, oh, it's Peter though. This is the rock upon which Christ is going to build his church. But he's saying, look, Peter's just another guy who betrays his friend. And we should all act like Jesus when love hurts us, which is to just love more and to love that person and to immediately start doing. And he says this is first and foremost. And when he says first and foremost, he means logically, but he also means in these situations. Oh, I love this person. I've been hurt. What's the first thing I do? I love the person I see. Yeah, but I take a moment. I take these, when I'm in this, I take these moments and I think, oh, I have to love them. I have to love them. I have to look at them and I have to love them. They are right now. That's my task. I do also, just to wrap it up, and we'll do a couple more questions, but the thing I like about this so much about Kierkegaard and so much about this existential flavor to all the ways that he thinks about this is it relieves us of the burden of having all of the answers in our head right now before we can act. He's given us lots of little things that in our moment to moment, like I don't know if this person's ever gonna get out of this. I don't know if they're ever gonna be the person I want them to be. I don't know if I'm ever gonna feel like it doesn't matter. Just love the person you see right now. Just do that in this moment, and then do it in the next moment, and then don't worry about the next few moments. When those moments get there, just do that. And it breaks it down into like I don't have to have this huge task of loving. I just need to love who I see and make sure that when I see the person, I'm loving who they are. And it allows you to just really slow things down, to be present in what's going on in your love. And when you start to spiral, which we all do when things are really hard and loving is hard, or I'm maybe spiraling because I'm not loving, just all right, well, start thinking about that those simple ways, and you build on that. And it doesn't happen automatically, but I do like that is what the Kierkegaard is reminding us that all these things happen in moment to moment, and we're not trying to get all this, we're not trying to fit everything that we need all into every moment. But yeah.
So I'm having a hard time with what we were doing until today and what we're doing today, because before it was love your neighbor as yourself, and I had a feeling you're supposed to love everybody out there.
Mhm.
Today, we're talking about the duty to find those we love and then to continue loving them regardless of where they go.
Not so much where they go.
Well, who they become or
Yeah.
whatever. So I could kind of see, like, in Gail's situation, maybe her brother-in-law has always been an obnoxious kind of guy, and so she never had that growing up with them like John had, and when you're children and you love them, and then they change on you, and so you still have that love for them.
Mhm.
But here's somebody that is just on the more periphery of her life, so is there a difference in that?
Yes, very much so. That he talks about, I don't know exactly where it is, but basically what he says is proximity does matter. There is, obviously we cannot, because he says, like, in the first part, he said the neighbor's everyone. That is what he's doing there, is he's casting the vision of, hey, you need to understand that when you see anyone at all, that is the neighbor. And he's trying to get us to stop, to make sure that we don't exclude from our concept of the neighbor. We don't want, like, everyone's a neighbor. Who's your neighbor? Person I see. But he's flipping it now, and so it's not to undo any of what he said before, but he's saying, okay, the people you do see, we need to love them the right way. Now, obviously, he's not talking about this, like, love the person you see, all the stuff we talked about today. He's not talking about that, and that's not going to be applied to, like, me giving money for a well in an African village. Obviously, that is an act of love, very much so, but it's not what he's talking about here. He's like, okay, we've talked about how we need to make sure that every time we see someone, we know that that's a neighbor. Now I'm going to talk about, okay, we see these people. Let's love them the right way. Let's make sure that we are, because another way to put it is the inward work that we had to do in the you shall love stuff is making sure that I am a person who, when I see someone, I see the neighbor. And now we're doing the inward work of, okay, I've seen someone. How am I seeing them? How am I thinking about them? Am I trying to turn them into a bad universal? Am I trying to turn them into some idea of what I want them to be? Or am I loving practically, concretely, the person that's here and making sure that I see them as lovable? So he's just zooming in a little bit, if that makes sense. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at kind of like, I have a brother who politically has kind of gone a different way, but I grew up with him, and so I'm always going to love him. And so that puts me in a different place than somebody who didn't grow up with him, and I see who he is, and I'm not going to be able to change him, but I still love him. But if he had come into my life at this point, and as an in-law or something, and where he's pretty obnoxious about some things, well, then it's a little bit hard. I'm in a different place to have that love that I had from growing up with him, and those experiences you have as a child.
Yeah. I think,
So I'm not going to love him if he came into my life now in the same way I'd love him because I grew up. He's been in my life, and
that's the key part, in the same way, and that's okay. Of course, you love your brother-in-law different than your brother, and here I have no problem with that. What he would say is, now both these people are in your life. Your duty is still to love them, and your duty is to love them as they are. Now, does that mean having lots of political conversations with them? Probably not. It's probably an act of love not to. With my brother-in-law, by the way, you guys keep talking about your brother-in-law. I've got the same one, and I hope Dad and my brother-in-law don't watch this. But But same thing for me. It is an act of love for me, not because I won't love him well if I do that. And it's just not, but it doesn't mean that I get to just write him off as unlovable. It doesn't mean, yeah, and I think Kierkegaard would agree with this as well. The people like that are in our lives are the people we should do the most work in loving because they're in our lives. They're not going anywhere. Like, I know it sucks. Like, it's really convicting. But
It's more internally for yourself. Learning that type of love,
Mhm.
not trying to change them or anything. Or change their minds or the way they talk, whatever.
I don't.
It's more internally how we view them.
It is a lot of that. We are also called to challenge them. That is a matter of the Holy Spirit and like wisdom and a lot of more concrete stuff that we'll put on later. But we are called to challenge them. We aren't called just to doing what work. We are like my brother-in-law goes to church, is Christian. He is my brother in Christ, and I don't get to. I'll say this: I don't get to just act as if I have no responsibility to call him and to work my love in such a way that hopefully it helps him to become a better self. That being said, it is also not my responsibility to make him a better self. Those two are the tension between those two, I think, are that's the nexus of some of the most difficult work for a Christian. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because if you try, I'm a horrible debater, so I lose.
I'm a great debater and I win, and that's the problem.
No, it's like, yeah, no, it's just like I have to. Up and walk.
The word that keeps coming back to me right now with you, because I'm pretty sure we're all sitting with our same scenarios, right? Same, and I can just hear like the therapist, like, put your boundaries, make your, I feel like would Kierkegaard be cool with boundaries?
Well, I was about to say, I'll close with this. I am as supportive of modern therapy as you could possibly be. It has made me a much better person. It is also, we need to be a little careful that that the protection of self it doesn't go too far. That we like take your therapy and meld it with we are to pour our lives out for others. Take your therapy and all of its beautiful, good truth that heals. Take that and also hold it with each of you should look not to your own interest, but to the interest of others. In humility, consider others more important than yourselves. Those two need to be together. That's all I'd say to that.
Yeah,
So,
that's great. I
yeah.
just kept thinking.
Yeah.
Boundary,
Yeah,
like.
and yeah,
The family
boundaries.
member, you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah. But even that is just it's difficult because there's boundaries that protect me from being hurt in a way that I can't love, and there's boundaries that protect me from doing work. And it's been difficult because it's difficult to figure out which is which. But I think if we get one thing out of this study, just because it's difficult doesn't mean we aren't called to it. So let me pray. Father, I just lift before you the pain that we have, that we all seem to be feeling with some family and some friends, the difficulty of loving those that we just don't get along with or have a hard time seeing value in. Lord, give us the vision that Kierkegaard is talking about here. Give us eyes that see the neighbor the way you see them. Lord, I can only imagine the catastrophe in our daily life of what it would look like to see every person as you see them and not as we see them. and yet we ask for it. We ask that you would give us eyes that see value everywhere, and would allow us to love the way you love them as well. And I pray this all in your son's name. Amen. Thanks, guys. Yeah, next week we'll do the second part one, and then the 14 is 2 weeks from now. Is that the cookout thing? Really, cookout, the cook off?
Yeah, next-
Okay.
Yeah,
Then we'll definitely do it that week, but I know some people will probably have to get their stuff done. We'll be done. We'll try to be done 2 weeks from now, like 11:30, so everybody can get down there and get ready. And that sound good? All right, I'll send out the next one tomorrow. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll send an email out. Gotta make a decision real quick. Thanks a lot for coming, guys.
Well,
You wanna do it for dinner?
By the way, everybody's on the email list, right? Everybody here is getting it. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
That's there.
Yeah, thanks, Lois.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cold. I don't know why. Yeah.
yeah.